What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Standard. We are Gold Boys and OddsShopper. We meet in one beautiful to find place here. I am Eric Lindquist. You can follow me at Eric Lindquist over on X. I am joined by Mr. Brad Thomas, Lord BLT himself on the Twitters, on X, on whatever Elon's calling it this days. How you doing, my dude?
Good. I just blocked Elon Musk on Twitter. I blocked him. I had to
Yeah.
block him for a little bit, right? Maybe until after the election. Not that I agree or disagree with his takes. He just does it too frequently, and he's always on my feed. And I'm like, Elon, I can't do this, my man. I need you to talk about something else. And it's never like this is what's going on in politics. It's I'm inserting my politics into what you believe. So I don't know why I just said that, but I blocked Elon on Twitter.
You said it because you want to get blocked by Elon and the algo for life, apparently. No, I'm with you where I mean, now they're talking about making X or Twitter. You can't even have the block function actually block people out, which defeats the purpose. Like some people, I don't know. There's not a lot of people out there that probably have the same experience that you and I do on X, where you get the minions and they come out with their pitchforks, their virtual pitchforks, and they just want to start shit. And it's a win-win time
Yep.
for them because they get to say whatever they want. And then as somebody, you're in the public eye, I'm in the public eye to some extent as well, like within our own little bubble for sure. But anything we say back can be multiplied to many people. So we can't really say what we think from
Yes.
time to time. And you're just boxed in, and then they get to just say, "Oh, well, you're just some stupid lib," or "Oh yeah, go vote for Trump, Eric." And it's like, what are we doing here? You don't know anything about my political ideology because I choose not to partake in it here
Exactly.
over in our medium. But I gotta say, as somebody who loves watching college football and sits on the yeah, very different than you, where this is like part of your job. Like for me, college sports is 0% of my job outside of just wanting to fire bets on Saturday. I can't wait to see no political ads next Thursday. I mean, it is
Dude.
going to be incredible to have it all over with.
Anybody who's in our shoes, right? Like us exclusively, they have to deal with this BS because we're always on social. Like it's not like
Yeah.
I can just take the day off of social. Like that wouldn't work for my job. That wouldn't work for
Mhm.
your job. Like maybe if I'm on vacation, but if I'm here operating in the cool zone, I gotta absolutely have it live. And it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I've set my life up in a place where eventually I will not be on social media. It's kind of like when Batman goes to Rome or wherever,
Yeah.
and at the very end of Dark Knight Rises, and he's just like, one day I just hope that I run into you at a cafe and I just give you a little hat tip and that's it. And basically saying that like I want better things for like I want better things for myself. I want to be just going like this to my former butler and just off the grid in like
Yeah.
10 years. I would love to be off the grid in 10 years. Maybe that's a little aggressive. I'm 37 now, but hey, retirement comes at many different ages for many different people. If I'm not working on my golf game to be on the senior tour by the time I'm 47 years old, I've done something wrong, Brad.
Listen, I'm same. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. I don't want to be sitting in this chair. And if I'm sitting in this chair, it's because I'm playing poker online or something.
Let's do it. Well, let's get into some betting, shall we? You could do that while you're playing poker online. I'm not gonna lie, true story. First couple shows that I ever did during COVID, I had poker games that ran directly into. I was playing America's Card Room every night
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and I had tournaments that would go like 18, 24 hours, like longer than I was expecting. Where
Yeah.
first couple of shows that I ended up doing, I was simultaneously playing in poker tournaments where oh, it was dark, beautiful times. Those were some weird times. Don't really want them back, but also they were lovely. A lot of COD as well. But we've got three plays per usual, like we always do. We got straight behind the virtual glass. They're doing an awesome job on the wicka wicka turnstiles. Never anybody who's done anything whiter than that before in their entire lives. I apologize to all involved. Let's continue on our merry way, though. We've got a lot of sports. I mean, we had the sports equinox. Welcome, everybody. We have MLB done, which again, it was an awesome season for me. I know, Brad, you had a pretty darn good season yourself. We track everything, we throw it out there for the people. And well, it was an awesome smash of a year. Not so much from a DFS perspective for me, which is weird, but my betting year was the best that I've had in MLB. But we now move our sights solely to NFL, to NBA, for you, college sports, golf. I take the entire fall off like I do every single year. Just can't do it all. You can't do it all.
Tough,
You try, man. And
tough.
that's where Tails is nice, where you can just tail some sharp people in sports like WNBA. I was able to follow a lot of sharp people over there in a sport that I did not cover or do anything for, but I knew how much work they were putting in. That makes it easier. Know that we put in the work on this one. And Brad, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, I didn't realize this is a popular bet amongst the X sphere. I actually do my absolute best to not go on X until my bets are placed, because I don't want anyone to sway my judgment there. I'm taking John Minchie touchdown at plus
Oh my
500 over
God.
on FanDuel. I went on X today, like just sat casually browsing, and I saw someone's like, I think it was Steffi Smalls was like, John Minchie is doesn't know, but he's gonna pay for my boob job. I saw Sam Swagman say something like John Minchie's about to make all of Twitter rich. I was like, is everyone just betting John Minchie? I
Oh
took
my
his
God.
touchdown, two targets in the red zone last game, which for anybody who tracks that kind of stuff is very big for a guy who only played like freaking, I don't know, what's the math, 23% of the snaps. He should see a massive snap increase. I did go back, it's kind of hard because they did play with Toledo a bit, but I did go back to track what kind of sets he'd be in. Um, for for their passing game, and it looked like he was going to be in all the wide receiver three wide receiver sets, which is nice. But also he'll be in some two wide receivers when Tank Dell's getting a blow, and that'll be him and Woods on the other side. So if you get any of that action, he gets one of those 20-yarders and it goes to the end zone, or he gets a red zone target. Plus 500, it's hard to pass up.
Well, let's talk through this a little bit because I think this is kind of fun. I've spent a lot of time analyzing, looking at everything from a receiving perspective. You have Reed and Gardner, two of the best cornerbacks in football, despite a 2-6 record that you have attached to this Jets team. Yet another primetime game. Yay, us. We're the real losers here. But Xavier Hutchinson, I'm very familiar with him from his Iowa
Yep.
State days. That's my absolute boy. He's been the guy who's been out on the field as like the quote unquote X receiver for the last couple of weeks. It's really, really dark times when you go from having to play Xavier Hutchinson, 10, 12 snaps where he can kind of run a little bit of cardio, to now, since week 5, he has not seen any fewer than 33 snaps in a
Crazy.
game and 44 snaps
63%.
last time out. I mean, it is insanity what we're seeing from Xavier Hutchinson. Best of luck to you dealing with either DJ Reed or Sauce Gardner. Now, they do play opposite sides of the field from each other. I assume Sauce is going to be primarily on Robert Woods. We saw him get up to 24 snaps. I think him and John Mechie, there's a lot of volatility with that purely because they have to try to win one-on-one coverage here. I mean,
Yep.
Jets are going to sag and just make CJ Stroud's life a living hell. And CJ Stroud's going to try to force Tank Dell into the slot. Now, Quincy Williams has been awesome in terms of coverage, 10th out of 74 there. The linebacker position, Jamian Sherwood, another great cover linebacker there. They bring in Isaiah Oliver, who I feel like I've talked about every single week, just as far as like his responsibilities in this Jets defense and all of the good things he's been doing, despite, again, some ridiculous losses by the Jets. This is not going to be easy sledding here. And that's where I start by shorting Dalton Schultz. 42.5 receiving yards is something that I just think is way, 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 way too high. Now, I do go on X because I always think more information is good information. Again, we're all influenced by things that we aren't aware that we're influenced by. That's how marketing works. That's how everything works. But I try to get as much information as possible. And there's a couple of really sharp people that I do enjoy. Fantasy Guru Drew, a guy who's out in Cali with me, who's a very sharp guy over on X, friends with some big league pitchers, Justin Steele of the Chicago Cubs as well. Always fun to see out in the streets, in the fantasy streets, talking football, a little bit of foosball, wretched game. But we've got Dalton Schultz here at 42.5, and he brought up an interesting point that I looked a little bit more into. Both these teams, the Houston Texans and the New York Jets, are top 3 in ADOT allowed to the opposition. Now, I started doing some back testing because I was like, that is kind of a wild number when both are top 3 in terms of fewest passing yards allowed. So
Yeah.
long ADOT, but then that. So it really comes down to third down. And this entire game is going to come down to third down. When you get in a good defense, they're going to put teams in third and long situations more than bad defenses are. So naturally the A dot is going to be further because you need to move the sticks. Now, you get in those 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20s that are self-inflicted. Yeah, you get those dump offs. You're probably not getting as many teams forcing it down the field, but on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, if you're not moving it on a team, yeah, your A dot is probably going to be required to be longer than normal. So good defenses actually tend to have longer A dots than I think people anticipate them to. Now, all of that being said, it's all fanciful. I'm going on one of my signature rants because Dalton Schultz, under 42 and a half receiving yards. There's a lot of talk about how he's getting, what, 5, 6 targets, basically. It's kind of the increase that you're going to see for him in this specific spot. But I, I could see 1 or 2 big plays potentially here down the seam where Tank Dell gets all of the attention. You're not winning one-on-ones on the outside in this game. I just don't see it. So John
Yeah.
Mechie, I think it would behoove them to potentially go to him rather than Robert Woods. Tell you what, Noah Brown looks pretty good in this offense right now. If you could back test that one and not release him before
Right.
the year starts. Now the Washington folklore catch, but Dalton Schultz, I've ran this 10,000 times in my sims. I continually have him box scoring around 30, 32, 30, 34. That ends up being closer to what his median is going to be. And that's what I'm most interested in. I love the under here.
I think a lot of people are naturally just say, hey, Dalton Schultz is going to get an increase in targets and just blindly bet. But the number you have to remember is increased itself. So that changes as well. My second bet, what is my second bet? I think I went with, oh, yeah, Mr. Joe Mixon's over 79 and a half rushing yards. If there is a
Good
weakness
number.
of this, yeah, if there's a weakness of this Jets team, it's going to be against the run. It's funny because it feels like Joe Mixon is matchup proof in these 70 numbers so far. Every matchup that he's had where he's gotten to a full complement of snaps, which means the one that he was injured, I took out. He's gone over 100, and it's hard not to go over 100 when you're getting fed 23 and 24 times in a game, right? Like any comparable back can get to the 100 mark. All I'm taking is the 79 and a half. Not to mention the Jets really struggle against the run. And I was actually really excited to see him against who was it? The Packers, when he ran against the Packers who have a better run defense than the Jets, and he's still busted for 100. Now, when you think that we talk about Collins and Diggs being out, this is when you really want to talk about who's going to get impacted the most. It's going to be Joe Mixon because Joe Mixon's going to run the ball. They're more likely to run the ball than they are to pass it more frequently in terms of who's going to feel the biggest impact of this. So I like Joe Mixon a lot.
I am with you. That's a good number to be getting. I think it's inflated a little bit, right?
Yeah, there's some
82 and a half,
80s
83
around.
and a half
80,
when I woke up this morning. I had a
yeah.
little bit of lack of buyer's remorse. I needed to buy in last night a little bit, that's for sure. I think it's still pretty advantageous, especially
There's some 81s
uh,
around right now.
okay, I'm
Yeah.
actually going to buy into that with you because again,
Yeah.
this is if the Texans do find success here, I think it's going to be on the ground. We've seen the Steelers now find some success on the ground against them. The Jets team last year too. I mean, that was kind of the thing is that you could run against you just couldn't do anything in the air against them. You still can't for the most part, but I mean, Sauce Gardner has been awesome in terms of even pass rush. I mean, I'm curious to see the blitz rate for the Jets tonight. They've been more neutral. Last year, they had the lowest blitz percentage in the NBA or in the NBA, in the NFL. And then this year, it's kind of been middle of the pack, floundering around a little bit here and there. But yeah, Sauce Gardner, just good around everywhere. I mean, he's been lower in terms of his defensive grade this season. We saw him benched week 1. That was kind of a bad sign of things to come against San Francisco. But overall, this is still just an elite duo cornerback situation. You want to run the football if you can. Laramie Tunsil, do that dirty work, baby. You're going to have to because that is a weak left side with Michael Clemens as your pass rusher on the right edge, I believe it would be for the Jets. Anywho, I'm with you. I think that Joe Mixon's a great play for this one. I thought I would jump into the NBA streets, and then I do have a look ahead line to be looking at, but
Ooh.
wanted to throw this one out for the people because I am a huge Derek Lively the second stan. I liked him at Duke. I obviously grew up a Duke fan and still am a Duke fan despite going to Iowa State. Won't cheer for Duke football here at the moment, but Duke basketball, that's always been the calling card. This kid was a stud in college. Like his defensive acumen and his ability to guard multiple positions in pick and roll and to be able to challenge at the rim. This is not what you normally see from like 18, 19-year-old kids these days. And I thought he was really polished then. I thought he was the best pick in the draft relative to where they took him. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama is who you wanted last year, but only one team got him. And well, yeah, where Derek Lively, where he slid to the back half of the first, was so wild to me. And even though they went out and got Daniel Gafford there at the deadline, Derek Lively is the best center for Dallas. Come playoff time, he's going to play a ton. That being said, when they play these absolute scrubby dub dubs, and I'm not going to call Houston scrubby dub dub entirely, but when you have Alperen Şengün there on the interior, these are the times that you're going to see Daniel Gafford in this starting unit still feast. And Derek Lively, his numbers have gotten inflated almost identically everywhere. But we've got Maxi Kleba continuing to be out here for Dallas, and that is such a big, important piece that has kind of been under talked about here. And I'm in my Twitter DMs with certain people, DKDFS, and we're just constantly going back and forth like, what is going on with the market? Why aren't they adjusting these numbers? I think it's because there's so much volatility based on game script on who gets more minutes, but we've seen Gafford tapping out right around 20. He is constantly pick and roll partner there of Luka Doncic, of Kyrie Irving. You're going to get so many rebounds around the rim with those guys in this offense. You're going to get easy putbacks. And Daniel Gafford, despite the fact that he is the much worse center defensively between him and Derek Lively, he has the better props for tonight. You're going to see some push and pull between the two, but just until Maxi Kleba comes back, they really are sold on having one on the floor at pretty much all moments in time. He's sitting at 16.5 or 17.5 PRA everywhere in the industry. That is way, 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 way too low, Brad.
I can get down with it. I'm gonna go with my third pick just because the number's too low. That's Mr. Robert Woods. It's over 15.5. That one is on
Longest reception or total?
total yards. I think that's on
Okay.
DraftKings. Make sure you shop it on OddsShopper.com. Hit this in the last game. You know, he's out. It's not like he's in the best position to go over yards, right? Like Minchie's my number one guy who I would take over his yards, but 15.5 for a guy who's probably going to play 50% of the snaps, probably be in on 32% of the passing snaps. It's just too low. That's 2 receptions. That's 2.5 receptions if we're talking real math numbers. So I took that. The number's just way too low not to play.
Xavier Hutchinson, Robert Woods, John Mechie, all of them sub 20 yards. I mean, this is just kind of wild. The more that I keep rerunning this, I mean, we always see where the quarterback, like you can add all of his pass catchers together. It's always going to be lower than the overall quarterback yardage number is going to be. If it
Yeah.
isn't, something is broken and you need to take advantage of it. But what happens is that you're always going to have the quarterback get like an inflated number. Do you know off the top of your head? Well, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, so I'm cheating. But do you know what CJ Stroud's passing prop is?
235.
224.5. So it's come down, it's come crashing down here to some extent here too. But you basically have sub 20 yards for those three. So there's 3 of them together. Dalton Schultz right around 40. That's 100. And then Tank Dell at 65, 70, 175 basically total yards allocated to pass catchers. Maybe another 15, probably less than that for Joe Mixon and other pieces. I mean, we're looking at like 180, 185 if you add up all the pass catchers. If we're still sitting at 224.5, there's got to be something that pops. You either want to be on that CJ Stroud under in correlation with Joe Mixon being successful, or you probably want to just jump on 2 of those 3, or maybe just bet all 3 of those blindly and hope he gets something close to what books are projecting him at for his passing yardage prop, because one of the 2 things has to break. It just has to.
It's insane too. Like you see all these pass catchers in the 20s, guys who are going to be playing a ton of snaps. Like you're going to have 2 guys that are for sure going to go over, and you have to figure out who it's going to be.
It's so tough. Xavier Hutchinson just doesn't get targeted. I mean, he's out on the field the whole time now. Like he's out there the whole freaking game. 44 snaps last week. 40
at all.
33, 48. I mean,
I picked him up in fantasy when Nico Collins went down. I was like, let's see what happens. And then just monitoring, I'm like, yo, this is not good.
Hey, I liked him and Charlie Kohler back in the day. Go State, baby. Go State. Real ones now. Straight. Before we get to my last play and we get ourselves the heck up out of here, I want to tell you guys a little bit about GoldBoys. And Brad has blue hair, and it's really cool. So let's play the tape. Maybe. There.
If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the GoldBoys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the GoldBoys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
So Brad doesn't know this. While this is playing, we're talking about Halloween costumes. I didn't know if the red streak in his hair was going for anything in particular, but he brought up Orange is the New Black. That's also my favorite Halloween costume I've ever did. I did porn stash. I did
Oh,
we did Orange is
nice.
the New Black. My ex-girlfriend looked like the dark-haired chick who was her girlfriend in the pen, and then uh I ended up going as the police officer. I thought his name was like Porn Stash or something.
Yeah, something like
Wasn't that his
that.
name in the show?
Yeah, I think they call me porn stash or something.
Yeah, who were
That's
you in
funny.
Orange is the New Black?
What'd you say?
Who were you for Halloween for that one?
Crazy Eyes.
Crazy Eyes. Dude, that's so great.
Yeah,
Crazy
it
Eyes is
was.
the best part of that show. Also, I have a really cool story about her.
Yeah.
So I used to coach actors once upon a time, which is a
Okay.
long, long time ago in my life now. I got hit by a car a long time ago, ended up having to basically just kick my feet up and worked for an acting coach that, my representation dropped me and everything because I couldn't audition, yada, yada, yada. But the whole point of the story is that Crazy Eyes came in and got to meet her during a film session one time. And I just kind of remember her because I was like, man, she can really act. Hadn't
Yeah.
really had anything pop her way. She had been around town for like a decade. She had auditioned for a bunch of cool stuff and never really booked it. And she kind of just said, you know what, screw it. She came in and went absolutely berserk, hammed up everything in Orange is the New Black, said, I'm just threw all of her acting training out the window and just kind of let it rip.
That's lit.
Autobook, her big break. And obviously that is still paying the bills. I'm pretty sure Orange is the New Black was a smash of a show for Netflix, and the residual check on that. I don't know how that all works with streaming nowadays, but SAG-AFTRA hopefully taking care of her. And one of my just a big fan of her, of that show. Some of the people that I got to meet from it, but my last play, it's pretty cut and dry. When you have T. Higgins on the field, the Cincinnati Bengals are good. When you have T. Higgins off the field, the Cincinnati Bengals are not very good. This is a chance to get the hook. 7.5. It's going to be gone. It's going to be gone come Sunday. So you really want to take advantage now. I get that Vegas, there are not a lot of people running to the window to want to bet on this football team with its current iterations, but this has more to do with like where both of these teams are. And since Vegas, obviously they had Devontae Adams when they went on the road up against Baltimore. It's not the same thing now, but Brock Bowers is awesome. He is awesome. Jacoby Myers is a very good NFL wide receiver as well. Maybe not the guy you want to have being your number one, but as a potential number two in the future, that's a really good wide receiver. And Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position, I think gives them a better chance to win than Aiden O'Connell did for his brief stint before getting hurt. I think this team is more primed here, considering T. Higgins did not practice again today. He'd done some limited work on the side. That quad popped up out of nowhere, but I have my conspiracy hat on. I think T. Higgins is probably going to be on the move before the trade deadline next week. They could not get his contract figured out whatsoever coming into this year. He's a free agent at the end of this season. And I think Cincinnati, where they're currently at, they need to win like 7 of their last 9. They could definitely look at Mike Gesicki and what he was able to do as a number 2 on the outside and at least play this year out, because it really comes down to defensively. If they're able to get stops, whatever. But Joe Burrow has the number 1 QBR in all of the NFL here right now. However, in terms of EPA, which is the metric that we all kind of look at and we all kind of try to identify as like a main predictor for expected points that you're looking at for a specific team, with T. Higgins on the field, QBR for Burrow is 19 points higher than without. He's got a 0.24 EPA per play, which would be number 1 in the NFL. However, and this is all from Bill Barnwell, my friends, however, 27th in the NFL without him, negative 0.09 EPA. That is an absurd difference. If T. Higgins doesn't play, you are looking at massive closing line value. I think this number potentially, I doubt it gets off of 7. It probably gets into the 6.5 territory, heavily juiced at the best. Probably just lands on 7, but there are 7.5s at -115 right now. If you don't jump in now, that hook is going to be gone. You want it now. I get Jamar Chase can be a number 1, but he is way more efficient, hyper efficient, despite the increasing target share. The efficiency for this offense and for Jamar Chase way better with T. Higgins on the field. What you think about that one, Bradley?
Dude, if you call that one, I was trying to think about where he would go.
I haven't seen any word about it. This is my putting on the putting on the hat, putting on the old tinfoil hat. What are they doing? They're a bad football team that is not due to do anything. And like, there are going to be a lot of moving pieces. We've seen the NFL trade deadline turn into an actual thing the last couple of years. They moved it 1 week so that teams could get more information on who should be buying or selling, rather than just 8 weeks in where it can be a little bit variable. Now that they moved it to week 9, I expect more buyers this year than we've ever had in the NFL before.
Yeah, I do too.
Houston T. Higgins. I'm going to call it
Houston. Wow.
Tank Dell's still on a rookie contract. Stephon Diggs on the shelf. Nico Collins insurance policy. You got a defense. Houston has a defense. You've got a weak division. You want to pounce on it now. I think if Houston doesn't try to go get T. Higgins for a rental, like, I can tell you one thing. Houston should cheer for Cincinnati, or to lose. Like, you need to be cheering for Vegas to win that football game if you're any of these people who are looking at Higgins as like a potential trade target.
Yep. Man, I was like thinking Higgins would try to go somewhere, but he's going to ask for a lot of money. You got to think of someone who's like desperate, but
Vegas.
still a chance.
On the other side of this one, like, Vegas, T. Higgins could be the number 1 there. Money wise, again, I never look at the cap. I never really pay attention. Like, football, you have to finagle so much stuff now as it is. It's such a weird thing. Like, what your cap hit's going to be. It's such a outrageous thing. I mean, Dak Prescott's making $60 million against the cap this year. What are we even doing now? I don't even understand. The NBA is easier for me to get because there's like equitability on the other side that has to exist, either in picks or salary. Like, you have to have money that makes it work. Expiring contracts, like, that makes more sense to me than the NFL, where it's like, hey, Deontay Johnson is worth a conditional 5th round pick. What are we doing? But it's because they're going to intake the salary, and Carolina's going to have to pay for part of that. But I mean, they're just trying to offload money against the books, and it's such a crazy GM game.
It's such a crazy game. I try to play Maker, and I can never get it right.
You try to play what?
Like salary cap Maker, and I can never figure it out.
Yeah, it's an absolute disaster. But that is my big tinfoil hat moment. I also think Vegas is crazy if they don't move Max Crosby, and Detroit wants him, but that's just me. Vegas just needs to hit the reset button. As long as Max Crosby has a support system around him that can help him move somewhere else, he should move somewhere else. That's for sure. But that does it here for the Gold Standard. I just realized that Pick 6 was behind me the entire time because I just got done doing videos for them. You can check them out with promo code Lindy if you really want to. But check out all the great stuff at GoldBoys. Use all their promo codes because, again, they're doing a great job putting out great information for you, putting great tickets together. And then my friend Bradley over here and myself, we are in tails over at OddsShopper. If you guys are looking for some plays, please check out his college football fixings. I'm always updating in the streets there, soccer as well, because I don't even know the jersey he has on today. It doesn't even ring a bell for me. What is that?
Ecuadorian team.
That's so great. Only here, friends, only with Brad. So check out him over in Tails. But as we get out of here, any final words for the people?
No, just make sure you go to Spotify. Go check out the Bet the Edge episode. It's going to have our college football plays.
That's a good thing to check out. Jump on those plays early here too. Saturday is going to be a big one. My wife has her Oregon Ducks undefeated. My Iowa State Cyclones are undefeated.
Wow.
It is great times in the Lindquist household, minus the fact that the Vikings fucking suck with back-to-back losses. What are we doing? Anyway, I can't complain too much. Thank you so much, Straight Behind the Glass, doing a great job per usual. Hopefully all these picks hit, and if they don't, well, sorry. Don't come at us on X. That's basically the moral of the story. Go follow him, Mr. Brad Thomas. Go follow me at Eric Lindquist. Can't wait for next Tuesday to be over. We'll see you guys later.